Mel, do you have any tips for how people start setting their goals specific to them? Like what's a reference points in regards to self-assessment that would be good goals that would actually change
I
something?
think I'll use an example of weight loss because it's really common and pretty easy to think about. So I think you can look at weight loss and you can sort of look at the range of healthy paces. So for example, let's say 0 to 1.5% of your body weight per week is a healthy range to lose weight. Oh, zero's above, slightly above zero. So I think the more overweight you are and the longer you have not had any of these healthy eating habits and not tried to diet, the slower you should kind of go. I think that if you have a history of being overweight for years, then start off in the middle or below the middle of the pace and like below the middle of the maximal loss you can get. The tendency is the more overweight you are, the more you want to lose as fast as you can. But the truth is, the more overweight you are, the bigger the habits you have to change. So doing the amount of willpower it takes to make a huge change and be losing maximum weight every single week it's going to take over your life. Something else is going to slip. And most likely what's going to end up flipping is the diet because that's new. So I think taking a look at the thing that you want to change and thinking about how long have you been not doing that and how far away from doing that have you been. And the longer and the further, the less of a large change you should make. So if you're, for example, really fit, you exercise regularly, you eat pretty well, and you want to have abs, fine. Go for it. Go hard. Do the hard diet. You already are using your willpower to execute all the other things in your life, and just taking it up a notch isn't going to be an overriding problem for you. But if your lifestyle is the opposite of what you're looking to make it, you need to sort of dip your feet in slowly. Does that answer your question, or did I go off on a tangent?
No, it totally does. It goes back to your analogy with the whole like should I change my grip or widen my grip in the deadlift?
Right.
Versus do I even know what a deadlift is?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So when you're giving goals for, let's say, nutrition, for example, do you have tendencies to give them something to add and something to take away? Like, for example, you said, I want you to eat protein this many times a day, and I also only want you to go out to eat this many times a day. Or like, do you have those types of things that you give to people as kind of like couplets or something like that?
Not as often. Usually, a lot of the people I work with have already been into sort of diet and fitness a lot. I haven't worked with that many complete beginners. When I do work with a beginner, I tend to do more of that. So just, what are the things that you do that are counterproductive to your goal? Let's take half of those away and replace them with healthy behaviors, but let's not take them all away yet until you get used to the healthy behaviors that are sprinkled into your routine right now.
Do you find the same with performance? Or is there a balance, like with your clients now that are pretty good in regards to nutrition and performance? Do you have them structure their performance goals and nutrition goals differently from just a conceptual standpoint, or are they kind of both going at the same time? Like we have our performance goals here, we have our nutrition goals, and we have kind of each from each category at ongoing.
Yeah, so for a lot of my clients, it's both, and they're both structured towards the same thing. So, for example, like a lot of clients will come and be like, "Oh, I want to run a marathon and add like 25 pounds to my total and like lose weight in the next 3 months." And you're like, "Okay, let's step back. There's some things we can do at the same time as others, and others that we can't. Like, you're not going to train for a marathon and add 25 pounds to your total. You're not going to add 25 pounds to your total while you're losing weight for 3 months. Things like that. So sort of giving them an understanding of like what of their goals are actually counterproductive and will have to be done in separate phases, and what of their goals can be overlapped and worked on together. Does that make sense?
Totally. I think that's huge. I don't think that people quite understand that some things are direct competitors of other things in regards to like what you're trying to change. No, I think that makes perfect sense.
Again, we're just setting expectations, which we've talked about before on previous podcasts and in other forums, that's huge, especially from the outset, because it probably avoids big headaches for us as practitioners or coaches, and then our clients, because we've taken the time to say, this is what we can likely expect if we go down this road, and this is probably how we get the most bang for our buck. And then if the client buys into that, we're probably good. But if we start off and they think that they can have it all and they can't, then we're the bad guys. We haven't delivered on what they've hired us to do, or that's the perception anyway.
Yeah, I think that's something that happens a lot. And personally, as a coach, it's something that took me a long time to deal with. So it's been emails and emails trying to convince people of the truth of something like that. Like, these goals, this can't happen in this amount of time, but here's how it can happen. And the ones that won't believe that, you just kind of have to let it go. You do your best to transmit the information and help them understand. And if they still choose fantasy, then
well, because we've got finite willpower too as coaches. We can't.
The clients who are going to listen.
It's tough to have a client who's difficult, and then to have to manage your other ones with the same vigor.
Right.
Like, it drains you a little bit. And yeah, we did talk about this on a separate episode, that you're not going to save everyone.
Right.
And that sometimes people will come back. Mel, you've probably experienced this, where somebody's like, you know what, I'm going to go a different direction. And then down the line, they end up coming back to you and saying, you know what, I want to try it. You were kind of right. This didn't work.